Jacob. The return, the wrestle, the reunion. Genesis chapters 31 to 33. In the land of Padan Aram, Jacob's life had become a storm of tension and silent hostility. Laban's sons whispered accusations, Laban's eyes burned with suspicion, and the peace Jacob once knew was gone. Laban's sons said, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. But in the midst of the pressure, the voice of God broke through the darkness, saying, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." Jacob called Rachel and Leah to the fields, away from listening ears. With the flocks grazing behind them, he poured out his burdens, Laban's deception, the years of labor, the wages changed 10 times, and the sleepless nights under burning heat and freezing cold. But through it all, God had protected him. Rachel and Leah, wounded by their father's unfairness, spoke boldly. "Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. Do whatever God has told you." And so, with urgency and quiet determination, Jacob gathered his wives, his children, and the vast wealth God had blessed him with. He set them on camels, gathered his herds, and began the long, silent escape. As the Euphrates River parted before him, Jacob crossed, leaving behind 2 decades of servanthood and stepping into destiny in the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. But Rachel secretly carried her father's household idols with her when Laban had gone to shear his sheep. And Laban, discovering Jacob's flight 3 days later, burned with anger and rode hard after him. For 7 days he pursued Jacob across the wilderness, until he reached the hill country of Gilead. That night, before he confronted Jacob, God himself visited Laban in a dream. "Be careful what you say to Jacob, whether good or bad." At dawn, Laban overtook Jacob's camp. The 2 men stood face to face, surrounded by family and tension heavy as the desert heat. Laban accused Jacob of deception, of stealing his daughters, and of taking his gods. Jacob, shocked and unaware of Rachel's actions, answered Laban, "I was afraid, because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force." And he declared, "Search everything. If you find your gods, the one responsible will not live." Tents were opened, bags turned over, every corner searched. But Rachel, sitting calmly on her camel, had hidden the idols beneath her saddle. She told her father. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence, it is that time of the month." So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob, filled with 20 years of frustration, spoke with fire. He recounted the losses he had borne, the labor he had given, the wages changed again and again. "It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God," he said, "has seen my hardship, and last night he rebuked you." Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." At last, the 2 men made a covenant. Stones were gathered and heaped into a witness mound. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Gilead, Mizpah. A promise that neither would cross that boundary to harm the other. "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." They ate, spent the night, and at dawn Laban kissed his daughters and grandchildren, and returned home. Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. Now Jacob turned toward Canaan, the land of his father Isaac. And as he journeyed, angels of God met him, a heavenly army standing on the road before him. Jacob named the place Mahanaim, 2 camps. But ahead lay the man Jacob feared most, Esau. His brother, his past, his unresolved guilt. Jacob sent messengers with humble words, seeking favor. But when they returned, their news struck fear into Jacob's heart. Esau is coming to meet you, with 400 men. Fear gripped Jacob's soul. He divided his people into 2 camps, hoping one might escape if the other fell. And then, broken and trembling, he prayed, "O God of Abraham, God of Isaac, I am unworthy of all your kindness. Deliver me from Esau, for I fear he will attack the mothers and the children." To soften Esau's heart, Jacob prepared extravagant gifts: goats, sheep, camels, cows, bulls, donkeys. Wave after wave of peace offerings going ahead of him in the night. And then came one of Scripture's greatest mysteries. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants and his 11 sons and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. When the camp was quiet, when his family had crossed the Jabbok stream, Jacob remained alone. And suddenly, a man appeared. A divine presence wrapped in human form. And there, in the silence of the night, Jacob wrestled with God. The struggle lasted until the break of dawn: sweat, dust, anguish, and unyielding determination. When the man saw Jacob would not relent, he touched Jacob's hip, and instantly Jacob's joint gave way. But even in pain Jacob clung to him and cried, "I will not let you go, unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. And God spoke, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men, and have overcome." Jacob asks, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore to this day the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Finally, the moment came. Jacob lifted his eyes, and saw Esau approaching with 400 men. He divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. Jacob bowed to the ground 7 times as he neared his brother. And then, in one breathtaking moment, Esau ran to Jacob, threw his arms around him, embraced him, kissed him, and they wept together. Then Esau looked up and saw the women and children. "Who are these with you?" he asked. Jacob answered, "They are the children God has graciously given your servant." Then the female servants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all came Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. The years of hatred melted in a single act of grace. Esau asked, "What's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met?" "To find favor in your eyes, my lord," he said. But Esau said, "I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." "No, please," said Jacob. "If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me favorably. Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me and I have all I need." And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. The brothers parted in peace, a reconciliation only God could have written. Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob journeyed on to Canaan, built shelters in Succoth, purchased land near Shechem, and built an altar. He named it El Elohe Israel, God, the God of Israel. The God who called him. The God who protected him. The God who wrestled with him. And the God who brought him home.